Hi everyone, welcome back to the business analysis and reporting classes of US CPA. In this particular class, I'll be walking you through with chapter 2 of the BAR examination, that is your technical accounting and reporting. So this is part 3 of the complete overview of the business analysis and reporting examination. So if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, I request you to please watch part 1, part 2, and this video is in continuation of the same. And here we have 3 more videos coming on the complete overview of the business analysis and reporting examination. So please stay tuned for video number 4, 5 and 6 as well. FAR classes, I think all of you are new students, right? Okay, yeah, none of you.
Not taking time.
Yeah, you guys are not in FAR class. Okay, so in FAR, earlier, all these topics were covered in FAR. Now they have been moved to BAR. So first one is indefinite live intangible assets, including goodwill. So there are certain assets for which it's difficult to define their life, right? That is called indefinite live intangible asset. For example, brand name, copyright, patent, right? Or you can say trademark. So it's difficult, like how much year they will give you the benefit, right? Make sense? Yes, no,
Yes.
right? Or goodwill. So, but at the same time, like what you need to do, you need to do fair value assessment at each financial year end and do the impairment analysis and book the impairment loss if there is any loss on those respective intangible assets. Make sense? What you need to do? Every year you need to do impairment assessment. If there is any loss, then you need to book that loss in your accounting. Make sense?
Yes.
Second is internally developed software. So that means, for example, you have your internal teams, your tech team, and you are developing any software. Whether you can capitalize that software or you have to expense off, right? The accounting treatment of the respective category of the software which you have developed, whether you can capitalize that or whether you have to expense off. There are certain rules according to the GAAP. So that you need to follow. We'll be discussing that in the internally developed software. Next topic is revenue recognition. Have you heard this 5-step model of revenue recognition?
Yes, under ASC 606.
ASC 606, exactly. Yeah. Arya, Saloni, Surya. Have you guys heard ASC 606?
No.
Okay.
No, no.
Okay. So this is again a small homework. So now go back to your audit files, right? There see ASC 606 memo. There might be an ASC 606 memo. So I would request to go through that. You will get an understanding what ASC 606 is all about. But no worries, we'll be studying in detail complete 5-step model of ASC 606, which is called revenue recognition. So ASC 606 has came effective from December 2018, right? For the public company, it was like you can say recommendatory to take the effect from December 2017, but from 2018 it was mandatory implementation, right? So we'll be understanding that all the 5-step model in revenue recognition. Step 1 is identification of the contract, whether any transaction which you and your customer has made was a valid contract or not. So identification of contract is the very first step. Second step is identification of performance obligation. The contract which you have identified, what all is your performance obligation in that contract, right? So that is step 2, identification of performance obligation. Third step was the transaction price. what is the overall price of the contract, and what is the price for the respective performance obligation. That is fourth step, allocation of transaction price to the respective performance obligation, which you have identified in step 2. And the last step is the revenue recognition. And then there are certain exception to the general rule that also will be understanding, which is called installment sale, franchisee revenue, right? So those kind of specific topic also will be discussing, and then software cost and other things we'll be discussing, right? Next is stock compensation. Have you heard this term called stock compensation?
Yes.
What is that?
So basically, when companies enter in an agreement with their employees, that's some part of their compensation would be paid out in the form of shares, like RSUs, restricted stock units, and there are other stock units as well that are given to employees, like after completion of certain term with the company.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to add something? Abhishek, Sejal, Francie, Rachita, Aditi. Are you guys here?
Yes, Hama.
Anything you would like to add?
So these are basically the share options that are allocated to the employees after, So
yeah, stock compensation can be to employee or it can be to the vendor also, right? So when you give the stock compensation to employee, we call it employee stock option plan or employee stock compensation plan or stock based compensation to employee. But it can be to vendor also, right? For example, like like this is, you might not have heard very much in context of Indian company, but in US it is very common. And now, as the startup culture is growing in India, so this stock compensation to the vendor is also growing. For example, let's say we have an edtech company, right? And we have involved a technology solution providing company to build the digital learning platform, right? To them, rather than paying in cash, I can pay through the stock as well. So that is called stock compensation to the vendor, right? Employee stock option plan, you all might have heard in your college days also, that if employee is working in your organization, to compensate some part of it, you'll be giving the stock compensation plan to them so that you can retain high talented manpower. So this is generally for the leadership roles, right? Make sense? So we'll be discussing in detail about the accounting of stock compensation plan to both to employee as well as to the vendor. Right? Next topic is research and development cost. Do you have any idea what is research and development cost?
Yes.
What is that?
So this is basically very common in new startup companies, where for the initial some months they are just doing research and not making any revenue. So the cost incurred in doing the researches, paying to the scientists or maybe the engineers, depending on the nature of the company, those are all classified as R&D costs.
Yeah. Saloni, Abhishek, Surya.
I think in this we can also include if the company is trying to, introduce any new product or any service. So before that, they have to go for the research and development.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical companies and all, where to develop a product, they have to incur certain R&D costs.
Yeah. So yeah, most of you are absolutely right. Like nowadays, like from startup to all the big company, they have like separate wing, which is called research and development wing. For example, let's say, if you see an example of Tesla, right? If you see an example of BMW, if you see an example of Hyundai, right? Every year they are coming up with their new model, with a new variant, with a new innovation, right? You might have seen like earlier there were petrol car, then diesel car. Now they come up with the electric vehicles, and now like future of the vehicle would be driverless cars, right? So they keep on investing good amount of time and energy in developing new and new product, and for that they keep on doing the research. When we hear the word called research and development, most of the time it hits in our mind is pharmaceutical company, or you can say healthcare industry, but it's in almost all industry. You see like Google, like every year they are coming up with so many new features, right? So initially they come up with the search engine, then they implemented AI enabled, right? Then after they have come up with a new product called YouTube. Then after they come up with the cloud solution. Then after they come up with the Google Drive. Then after they come up with the WebEx, right? So they are keep on investing huge amount in research and development, right? Make sense?
Yes, company.
Right? So we need to broaden our horizon when we think about any particular concept. So that's the whole objective of like in the classes I try to help you out to broaden your spectrum to look at the things from the different angle. So when it comes to research and development cost, there are two parts of it. One part is the cost which you are investing on research, right? Second part is the development cost. So the research cost and development cost, for example, any R&D center, what all expensive will be there in R&D center?
Paying the salaries of the employees.
Yeah, you may have infrastructure, you have certain computers, you have certain machineries, you have certain equipments, you have certain, you can say, products, you have furniture, fixture, you have employee, you might be paying salary, there would be air condition, or there would be other electrical item for which you might be paying rent, right? Holistically, if you see, the research and development center is like an office where people do go and do the experiment for their respective product, right? So there would be fixed cost, there would be some variable cost, right?
Right.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? So the
Yes.
fixed asset for which there is an alternative use available, those fixed assets you can capitalize, but the fixed asset which do not have any alternative use, you won't be capitalizing it. So we'll be understanding more in detail. Second thing is research cost and development cost. All the research cost is always expensive. And development cost you can capitalize only if the research is being having a feasibility established. That in future economic benefit will be received, which is more than 12 months. Then only development cost you can capitalize. Other than that, all the expenses need to be expensive. Right? So we'll be discussing in detail. I'm just giving you high level overview. So today class objective is to give you high level overview what we are going to study in next 10 to 12 weeks. Right? Don't feel overwhelmed. Right? That in one class we are going through all, but one class we are not going through all. One class, in this class I'm just giving you the complete overview so that you'll be sensitive about what is coming in your way for next 10 to 12 weeks, right? Got it? What is research and development cost will be?
Yes.
Okay, next topic is the business combination. Have you heard this term, business combination?
Yes.
What is business combination? What is business combination? Yeah, what happened? Why so silent? Do you want any break?
Just trying to frame it in words.
Okay, let me know if you want any break for 10-15 minutes. But I want you to be continuously engaged.
We can actually relate it to that mathematical concept of permutation and combination, where the management is actually like planning out the things which business.
No, you are absolutely wrong. Don't attempt. You're going in a wrong direction. What is a business combination? Have you guys heard this term in your college day by any chance?
Yes, yes.
So what was the topics you might have studied in business combination?
I think it included like the merger or the acquisition of some of the businesses or something like that. I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
When a company basically obtains